What's up guys, Rogue9 here, and by popular demand, this episode of Rainbow Six Siege loadout meta will focus on Kapiteon. And I have to say to all of you requesting the comparison between the Para 308 and M249, good choice. According to the in-game stats, the two guns have exactly the same damage and fire rate. The only difference is the capacity of each gun, which makes it seem as if the two choices are virtually identical. But of course we know by now that there are loads of other hidden stats to consider, so let's get right to it. At first glance, the stats seem evenly split, with a damage and capacity advantage going to the M249, but the, let's say, comfort of use stat advantage going to the Para. But the question is, how much are those 3 extra points of damage at max range for the M249 really worth? My answer is probably not all that much. The average kill distance in Siege has always been just under 10 meters, and the damage drop-off for both of Kapiteon's guns starts at 25 meters. And at the end of the day, the 3 extra points of damage only result in a max damage per second output advantage of 33 points, nothing to really write home about. And speaking of not writing home, the average fire rate for machine guns in Siege is 741.6 RPM, while the average for assault rifles is 746.7 RPM, almost identical and pretty much a full 100 rounds per minute or 1.5 rounds per second faster than either of Kapiteon's primary guns. Both guns might hit reasonably hard with each shot, but the slower fire rates are really a significant disadvantage when spraying for those oh so rewarding headshots. But for the sake of argument, let's look over the shots to down or kill and time to down or kill stats. Up to 25 meters distance, i.e. almost all engagements you will ever have in Siege, there is no difference in damage, so the shots to kill are the same, and with the exact same fire rate, of course the time to kill is also the same. At max range, after damage drop-off, the M249 needs 1 less bullet to down an opponent in exactly half of our test permutations of different armor types and bullet strike locations. This results in an improved time to kill of just over 92 milliseconds in these specific cases. So sure, in theory the M249 does come away with a bit of an advantage at long ranges if you ever manage to find a map with sight lines that are that long. Good luck! Being a belt-fed LMG, the M249 of course comes with a significant capacity advantage. You can pre-fire for an awfully long time before needing to reload with this thing. Glorious! But if you ever need to reload the sword during a gunfight, may God, Buddha, or the flying spaghetti monster help you, because the reload time is an eye-watering 7.6 seconds for both full and tactical reloads. The Para's reload times are much more palatable, with 3.3 seconds being the exact average for all assault rifles for full reloads, and 2.6 being only just slower than the 2.5 second average. But let's just go back to the reload of the M249 for a second before we move on, because as an open bolt weapon, we should really see a difference in full and tactical reload times. See, when you empty the gun completely, the bolt should remain to the front, and Kapiteon should have to manually recock the gun, but for a tactical reload, the bolt should still be at the back, meaning that you can skip the recocking, giving you a slightly shorter reload time. So why are the two times the same in Rainbow Six Siege? Well, you see, Kapiteon's M249 is not just any normal machine gun, but instead it is one of those rare firearms that has been blessed by Harry Potter himself because it will never run out of bullets. As you can see, after firing off all 100 bullets, the gun still has ammunition remaining. Even when you go ahead and use up all of your reserves, the gun is still loaded. But luckily for us, Kapiteon is a very sporting old chap, and for the sake of game balancing, he has entered into a verbal agreement with the rest of Team Rainbow to not take advantage of the magical properties of his M249, and instead he just pretends to no longer be able to shoot. Oh, and even though he never runs out of ammo, he also recocks his gun every reload cycle just to create a fair and balanced environment. Holy cow, sometimes I amaze myself at the amount of nonsense that goes through my head. Moving on. When it comes to aim down sight time, the Para 308 once again has a very firm advantage, and if you can take the added recoil, the 40% ADS time advantage of the angled grip can widen the gap between the two guns even more. 270 milliseconds versus 600 milliseconds is not even comparable, and the fact is that you really need to be pre-aimed with the M249 before going into any engagement if you want to stand any chance of coming away victorious. When it comes to hipfire spread, both guns are virtually identical in most situations. Prone, kneeling, and standing still will result in exactly the same spread for both guns. It's not until you start jogging, that's basically moving forward without holding the walk or sprint buttons, that an advantage for the lighter Para 308 starts to emerge. This advantage also transfers into the spread while firing in full auto, where the Para ends up spraying its bullets in a cone that is about 25% smaller than that of the M249. And last but not least, controllability. Once you attach the vertical grip and muzzle brake for the Para, the recoil becomes very manageable, and the LMG is also extremely controllable since the general recoil buff to all LMGs several seasons ago. So I would say that the M249 is maybe just that little bit easier to control, especially if you're running the angled grip to minimize your ADS time on the Para 308, but at the end of the day, both guns are very manageable and you should not really have any issues in handling their recoil. Conclusion time. The sad fact is that Kapiteon's guns just never quite measured up to the weapons available to most of his colleagues. In a one-hit kill headshot game, fire rate is king, and both of the firearms we have looked at today are quite a bit below average. Nevertheless, if you are one of those masochist people I'm always reading about, and you decide to play Kapiteon anyway, then my recommendation would be to run the Para 308 for maximum effectiveness. Having a much better aim down sight time with the added ability of attaching an angled grip pretty much seals the deal. If you're not pre-aiming constantly with the M249, you will sooner or later lose gunfights because you were not able to aim in quickly enough. Everything else is secondary. A little more damage, more bullets, but slower reload, all those factors won't really play a massive role in any given match. ADS time is what kills the effectiveness of the LMG class in Rainbow Six Siege even after the recoil buff. To be fair though, these disadvantages are not necessarily deal breakers. You can adapt your playstyle to work around the slower ADS time, and I guess the M249 is still viable, but why make your life harder than it needs to be? Playing Kapiteo is already enough punishment as it is. But that's just my opinion. Let me know yours in the comments section below. Do you ever use the M249? Do you maybe even prefer it? Or do you just stick to the simpler option of the Para 308? I will look forward to hearing your thoughts, and until then, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next episode.